hello, everyone. My name is Andrea Wilson. Welcome to the 21 Bridges Language Podcast, where language learning meets real life. Oh my goodness, today's episode is an episode that I've been wanting to talk about for a while, but I had no one to talk about this with, so I'm making it a podcast episode. We're talking about raising a child bilingual without burning them out. This episode is for parents who are thinking long term and want their child to be bilingual, confident, and capable. But you're also worried about burnout, resistance, daily power struggles. And if you're not worried about that, it should be something in the back of your head. If you've ever wondered, how do I push just enough without pushing too hard on my youth? How do I raise a bilingual child without making Spanish seem miserable? This episode is for you. And let me preface this and say this is really for my parents that are monolingual and wanting their child to become bilingual. Not so much for my parents that are already bilingual and are infusing their culture into their child's life. I think those are two different parents. So if you are a monolingual parent but you want your child to be bilingual, this episode is probably going to resonate with you a lot more. But first, let's talk about why burnout actually happens. There's an important truth here that I've realized, and sometimes I don't know how to tell parents. So I'm just going to say it on this podcast. Most youth that I work with don't burn out because Spanish is too hard. And I gotta say, like, a lot of parents think that their child is struggling solely because Spanish is hard. And that's not exactly it. Burnout happens based off of my experience with tutoring because of how pressure shows up around Spanish. So school teaches Spanish so that our youth can get a grade and know how to conjugate a verb and know grammar. But that actually is fueling the burnout because our students are feeling behind. They're not seeing their progress. It's like, why don't I have an A? Spanish is becoming more about grades instead of personal growth. Repeated correction instead of encouragement. So I used to tutor a woman in Spanish because she wanted to be fluent, and I would encourage her, and she would say, "Don't encourage me, correct me." And I thought that was so interesting because it's the encouragement that will push a person to stay with becoming fluent. It's the correction that will subconsciously let a person know they don't know what they're doing. And I'm not saying people can be corrected, but I'm saying it should be balanced with encouragement. Okay, last, burnout comes from a sense that failure means something about who they are. There are so many parents that believe if their child fails a subject, their child is lazy. If their child fails a subject, their child just didn't work hard. I get children every day, or I should say youth, every day through my doors who are great students. They actually are A average students, but they have an F in Spanish. Is it a laziness issue or is it a comprehension issue? I'm seeing more comprehension issues than I'm seeing laziness. Now, every now and then I do see that, okay, this kid is lazy, but those aren't the students who are excelling in school but failing Spanish. So I think we got to give people a little bit more grace because language learning is very emotional. And when our youth feel exposed or embarrassed, their nervous system goes into a protection mode. And then they just stop feeling motivated. So, what is the mindset shift that our parents need? First thing is to raise a bilingual child without burnout, parents need long term mindset shift. So, first, fluency is not a 1 year goal. Oh my goodness. No one's becoming fluent in a year. And I'm on social media. I see the lies. I see people advertising become fluent in 1 year. look at how I sound now. They are just advertising, okay? They were not fluent in a year, I promise. It's just that in our culture, I think we want everything quick, easy. We want it to come as quick as an Amazon package. But fluency is more like a journey, and it takes time and it takes a lot of patience, and it's totally okay to need those things. It's a multi-year process that is built through exposure, your consistency, and your emotional safety with who you're learning with. Does the person teaching you make you feel like you're a failure and you're wrong because you don't know what you're doing? These are unnecessary feelings to carry when you're learning a language, because language learning should also be sort of fun. Okay. With that being said, your youth does not need to love Spanish today. They need to not hate it enough to quit forever. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Your youth does not need to love Spanish today. They need to not hate it enough to quit forever. Okay? It's okay if they don't love it. There's lots of things people don't love, but they end up being quite good at it. Like washing your clothes. I never loved that a day in my life, but I'm pretty decent at it. Okay. Number two, struggling with something isn't failure. In language learning, confusion is expected, parents. This is a foreign language, and most of the time, our youth are learning this language without the cultural context that's needed to help them. So, if Spanish feels uncomfortable, that usually means learning is actually happening. So, this is a good thing. When I find youth that are like breezing through their Spanish class, not being challenged, I don't like that. In fact, when I'm with a child or a middle schooler, none of these kids are children, but when I'm with a middle schooler and they've been through bilingual program, I try to set that child that youth up. It's so hard not to call these youth children, but I try to set that youth up to test out of Spanish 1, because I know that as soon as they're bored and they're not challenged, they're also going to be less motivated to do this. So the danger actually comes when we interpret a struggle as, oh, they're just bad at this. That belief shuts everything down. And third, motivation follows the competence, not the other way around. So your youth don't become motivated because they're told to care. They become motivated because they start to feel capable. And so they're supported, confidence is there, and then the motivation follows. So, what are realistic expectations to have? This is where I think it really depends on what grade your youth is in. So, if we're talking about an elementary school student, at this age, the goal is just exposure. I'm teaching my 8-month daughter Spanish, and I'm not speaking to her all day long in Spanish. I give her 30 minutes a day. We read a book. I talk to her in Spanish, and she goes about her baby like day. Mixing languages is normal at a younger age. Progress is slow and even uneven, but burnout risk is the highest because students are expected to be independent before they're actually ready. And then early intervention matters more than motivational speeches. So just exposing your youth to 21 Bridges way before high school is very beneficial. So, what actually prevents burnout? For me, I would say predictable routines. So, short daily practice beats long emotional sessions. Predictability lowers anxiety. I just believe our youth need predictability in the home, outside of the home, in their studies. Predictability reduces anxiety because you know what to expect. On that note, clear priorities are important too. So our youth burn out when everything feels so urgent. Oh my God, I have a test Friday and I need to study. Why are we doing this? You should already know by now as parents, hey, this is a foreign language and they need support. If the school doesn't have it, 21 Bridges does. Shameless plug. But parents, parents kind of know what actually matters for grades and progress. What actually prevents burnout? Emotional neutrality at the home. So Spanish should not become a measure of intelligence. It is not. And your calm response teaches your child that it's manageable. So I have parents come to me almost every semester right before finals, and they're worried. They're like, "Oh my god, my child's failing." And I've heard this every year. So I'm not concerned as much as the parent. And I love that they feed off of my calm. Within the next 10 minutes, last 10 minutes of the conversation, the parent is a lot more regulated, a lot more calm. And I've had some even say, talking to you made me a lot better. That's because I didn't panic. So, if we can manage our calm within the home, then that really helps our youth be more successful and believe that they can really get better. Support before crisis. So, tutoring and structured help works best before the grade collapse. Support is not a admittance of failure, it's a strategy. I love when I get youth at the beginning of the year who are proactive because I know that that youth is going to get an A. Versus when I get them a few weeks before finals, they're already failing. The goal is just a C. So it's a different strategy. So what's actually the big picture here? You're not raising a perfect Spanish student. You're raising a child who learns how to persist through difficulty. Learning tasks take time. Struggle does not equal inability. And for that, I love and believe that every youth should be striving to be fluent in a language. Even if they never become fluent, the discipline and the character that they build along the way is priceless. So, how can you get involved with 21 Bridges Languages? Because I know you guys are thinking this. If you want support beyond this episode, join the 21 Bridges membership. You first can just join our email list. Head over to our site. In the footer of the page, there's an email sign up, and you get a free tool. It's a parent guide to navigating fluency in Spanish within the school system. Our email gives you parent scripts, study routines, teacher communication guidance, practical strategies you can use immediately. And if you want ongoing structured support, our membership was built for parents just like you. Mothers, fathers, managing education and looking for clarity, not chaos. The membership sign up is at www.21bridges.us. You can also join our email list and sign up for our tutoring program, and you can also visit our website to learn more about our tutoring services. Thank you so much for listening to the 21 Bridges Languages podcast. If this episode resonated, share it with other parents who are trying to balance their expectations and their own emotional health. It's not easy getting our youth through school, and it's not easy encouraging them to be bilingual. Bilingualism is built over time, not through pressure, and your steady support matters a lot more than you actually realize. Until next time, keep building bridges. Hasta luego. Adios.